Okay, welcome back. This is the second video of 3 videos that I want to do for our electrical principles unit. This video has to do with conversions again, but specifically we're going to be talking about converting between the various units for measuring time. So we have 2 diagrams that I found on the internet. Again, the purposes of this video is solely for my students that I teach, and I'm just giving them another opportunity to get an explanation for this, and that's why I'm using it. So anyway, so this diagram here, it just shows what you need to do mathematically to go from minutes to hours, and hours back to minutes, and minutes to seconds, and seconds back to minutes. And it also shows you what you need to do to go from seconds to hours and back from hours to seconds. Okay. In this case, to go from hours to seconds, you would have to multiply by 60 and then multiply by 60 again. Okay. From seconds to hours, you have to divide by 60 once and then divide by 60 again. Okay. And on the right side, I have an analog clock just to kind of help explain the conversions, if maybe some of you are having problems kind of getting this straight in your head. So the best way to do this is just to go ahead and do some examples. So I'm going to start with a pretty easy example, I think, and it's something that we just all do automatically. But let's say if we have 30 minutes, okay, and we want to convert that to hours. And a lot of you are thinking, oh man, I hope we get a harder example because we just automatically know that 30 minutes is half an hour. Well, what I want to do is just kind of show you through the analog clock a visualization of 30 minutes being an hour. So we all know that when the small hand travels once around the whole clock, then that denotes that 1 hour has passed. But in order for it to get from this spot right back, it's got to pass through much smaller denominations, right? And each one of those denominations signifies a minute. Now, if we had a third hand, typically it's colored in a different color, but it's about the same length as the long arm. It's in red, okay? And that one travels around the clock a lot faster, but it also has to pass through, individual smaller increments before it makes its full travel around the entire clock. Okay? And when it travels once around the entire clock, that's 60 seconds. But because there are 60 of these ticks, then each one of those ticks would represent, for the red hand, 1 second. Okay? So let's look at this here. Okay? Oops. Did not want to erase that. Okay, so 30 minutes, we can see just by looking at our analog clock, is half an hour, okay? Because there are 30 of these ticks from here to there, and that covers half of the clock, okay? And looking at it here, we start from minutes. This is where we're starting, and we want to go to hours. So going from minutes to hours, we have to divide by 60. And of course, 30 over 60, if you do the math, right, that is 0.5 hours. Okay? So that is a very simple kind of example for us to do. All right, let's move on to another one. Okay, let's convert 35 minutes. Okay, 35 minutes, and we're going to convert this to seconds. Okay, so how many seconds is 35 minutes? Okay, well, once again, if we look at our clock, right, this hand here is going to have to travel all the way here for 35 minutes to pass. Okay, and why? It's because every tick represents 1 minute. So, how many seconds is that? Well, each tick also represents a second. But again, that's for the other hand, okay? The red hand on our analog clock. So, we can represent that by multiplying our minutes by 60, okay? Because it would take a full 60 seconds to get around the whole clock. But we're not going around the whole clock. So if we take 35 minutes, okay, and multiply it by 60, we will get our answer in seconds, okay? So again, just to kind of explain it, we have to multiply by 60 because we have a total set of 60 going around the whole clock, okay? And just to kind of clarify that as well, to think about it this way, if we're going from here to here in our clock, right? Every tick here is going to represent a minute, okay? So every one of these is going to represent a single minute. And every single one of these minutes, okay? So every single one of those ticks is a minute. Oh boy. And that equals 60 seconds. Okay? So we're going to have to multiply by 60. Right? So 35, right? Because each one of those minutes represents 60 seconds as well. So 35 times 60, should probably take that out because 60 is just a conversion factor, will give us 2,100 seconds. All right? Now, if we go 35 minutes, and we want to convert that to hours, we're going to have to divide by 60. Okay? Because we could look here at our diagram, and I mean, when you get a test, the first thing you can do when you get the test is just kind of write this, sketch this out really quickly on the side, and you can use this to help you do your conversions. We're going from minutes to hours, so we are dividing by 60. Okay? So 35 divided by 60 will give us 0.58 hours. And like I said before in class, you can always look at things and think through it logically to kind of check your conversions. If I were going from minute, right, to hours, and let's say I accidentally multiplied by 60 instead of divided, well, I would get this as an answer. I would get 2,100 hours. And that makes no sense because you know from your own personal experience that 35 minutes is just over half an hour, right? So if 35 minutes is just over half an hour, then I could check my conversion to make sure that I'm around half an hour. And if you look at this answer here, 0.58, is pretty close to half an hour, therefore I'm right. Whereas if I got this number here instead, I know I'd be totally off because 2,100 hours is totally wrong. Okay, and you can apply the same logic here. So once again, I hope that really helps you. Again, it's important to be able to make this kind of conversion when you need to calculate the energy, and they ask you to report the energy in kilowatt hours. So you do need to convert minutes to hours and seconds to hours depending on the time that they give you.